Yo, welcome to Hard Pass. I am your host, Jacques Slade. Today on the show, we've got way too early Air Jordan 1 band news, the Nike Jaw 3 emerges, John Cena being the biggest troll in the history of wrestling, this week's hottest release, and of course, we have our Hard Pass. All right. Let's start with some hot takes. So we got news for those of you who missed out on the Air Jordan 1 High 85 band that dropped this past February. I realize that's probably most of the people watching this video, so let's go through this news first, and then we can decide whether it's good or bad. Reportedly, the band Air Jordan 1 High 85 will once again release later this year around the holidays. Sneaker news. Now, they were speculating that it's going to drop on October 18th, which is the day of rookie Michael Jordan first wore the black and red Nike Air ships and drew the ire of the NBA. Soul Retriever has word from their sources at Jordan Brand that this is not a restock of the February release and that the SKU is different. And finally, Complex's sources are stating that despite the new SKU, it is the same shoe, but with new packaging, and it will be even more limited than the February pair. And for what it's worth, sneaker leakers on social media are saying it might be pushed to 2026 and the color blocking could be different, or it's an entirely new colorway. So, on one hand, it's welcome news that Jordan Brand is releasing another wave of Band 1s to the public. On the other hand, making them even more limited than the February drop is kind of cruel, especially when you know the same celebrities and influencers who got them already will probably double up. And on the third hand, because this is a constantly evolving story, all of this speculation could be for nothing. It's almost like the news was so slow that everybody got together to talk about a mysterious new Jordan 1 that may or may not be a re-release that could drop in 2025 or 2026 and could be the Band 1s, but also it could not be the Band 1s. Like, what are we doing here? Watch, this all turns out to be a Jordan 1 mid in the band colorway, and the cope would be magnificent to watch. Anyway, moving on. Ja Morant. Well, he wants you to be fearless in the just revealed Nike Ja 3. Yeah, that's about the last thing Ja should be talking about at the moment, but let's try to keep it in the sneaker context. I mean, good on him for keeping that rebel energy when it comes to his sneakers. I wouldn't say that the Ja 1 and 2 are deviating far from the Nike signature shoe formula of the past several years, but they did have their share of fans thanks to the athlete they are tied to and its relatively affordable price point. But they say that the third sneaker is the make or break one design-wise, and the Ja 3 is showing promise. It's hard to speculate on what's possible at the moment because it's a mostly bright pink affair, but I am curious to see how the scratch design is implemented on future colorways. We'll talk more about the Ja 3 on the Too Hard to Pass podcast. You can check it out on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Shout out to the most overrated player in the NBA, according to other NBA players. Tyrese Halliburton rocked a blue and yellow pinstripe version of the Puma All-Pro Nitro that's set to drop in May. It's an homage to the iconic uniforms that the Pacers wore in the late 90s to early 2000s when they were battling Michael Jordan and the Bulls on the court and the Detroit Pistons and their fans off the court. But for me, I'll always remember these uniforms because that's what Reggie Miller wore when my then 11-time world champion Los Angeles Lakers beat the Pacers and won number 12. Memories. Thanks for the hit of nostalgia, Puma. Appreciate you always. And as for Tyrese, well, he's far from overrated, especially if he decides to join the Lakers whenever he becomes a free agent. He'd look good next to Luka in a few years, I'm just saying. All right, this past week, Action Bronson brought back all of his New Balance collabs and put them up for sale at his mega store in New York City. Congrats if you were able to pick up a pair or re-up the previous drop. But I want to give some props to the design team who put together the ads for the launch because it had some serious East Bay vibes that I actually thought they made a magazine for the occasion. It speaks to Bronson's long history with New Balance that he's able to fill out a catalog like this, and man, there are some solid bangers in there that I wouldn't mind having a pair or two of. It's one of those times where living in New York would be such a benefit. Before we get to the pick of the week, let's do a quick appreciation post for the Orlando Magic's Paolo Banchero. Not only is he teaching the world how to properly say Paolo, he's out here with the old school mentality of not wearing the signature shoes of the players he's going up against. In this case, he's not wearing the Jason Tatum threes against Jason Tatum. It's a little thing, but I love the little mental game because letting everybody know that he's not doing that could be perceived as a slight to JT and might throw him off his game. Of course, by the time you watch this, the Magic might be eliminated since they are a 7 seed, but I respect the head games being played by Paolo. Again, that's Paolo, not Pablo or Paula. Why am I pointing this out? No reason. It's not like co-writer has an axe to grind because some kids in the 909 couldn't say Paolo properly. Nope. He's being perfectly normal about this. Anyway, our pick of the week. It's the Nike Kobe 9 EM Mambacita. This is going to drop on May 1st for $180. Since 2022, Vanessa Bryant and Nike have teamed up to release a special edition Kobe sneaker to honor the memory of Gigi Bryant. This year, the Kobe 9 in engineered mesh gets the honor of wearing the color of Gigi's Mamba Academy squad in black, white, and gold, all while being complimented by Gigi's name and jersey number on the heel. Now, John Cena. He's living the dream right now. As many of you know, Cena walked down the aisle of WrestleMania for the final time this past weekend and won the WWE Championship for a record 17th time, beating Cody Rhodes in a match that could be best described as a train wreck if that train wreck was conducted by a smartass with an engineer wearing unreleased Jordan Jumpman Jacques. And Cena is loving it. While the consensus among fans both online and in real life is that the match was middling at best and a disaster at worst, Cena's got no worries. Why? Because for the first time since he became the eternal babyface that fans rebelled against for nearly 20 years, a heel Cena gets to let the world know how he's felt all this time. And it is glorious to watch it unfold, even if the unintended consequence is the end of the honeymoon period WWE's been on since Vince McMahon faded into the ether. Okay, here's some context. For the entirety of his run as a top guy in WWE, Cena never once turned heel. With the exception of Rey Mysterio, every top wrestler gets a run as both a good guy, babyface, and a bad guy, heel, but not Cena. Why? Vince. But ultimately, it comes down to Cena being such an inspirational hero to kids who sold tons of merch that making him heel would actually hurt both Cena's image and WWE's bottom line. However, for the past several years, he's been a part-timer as his star has risen in Hollywood. Every time he came back, it was in a losing effort in order to build up whoever the powers that be deemed was worthy of the Cena rub. Sometimes it worked. Think Roman Reigns and AJ Styles, and sometimes it didn't. Think Austin Theory. So when Cena declared that 2025 was going to be his last full year as a competitor, it was met with excitement, but also regret because he's never got to be a full-time heel. And like we speculated before, even if he did turn heel, it would only be a short time because he needs to be cheered for whatever the last show is in December. How impactful could a heel John Cena be? Very impactful, apparently. Now, we won't get into the rock of it all too much. The final boss may or may not be in a power struggle with Triple H so contentious that Rocky didn't even bother hyping up Mania. That's a story for a different time, and another appearance on the Pat McAfee show to do some damage control, but in short, Rock's negligence coupled with Triple H's curious booking is what led to that WrestleMania main event this past Sunday to be so heavily criticized. It's like Thanos snapping his finger in Infinity War and not appearing in Endgame with barely a mention from the Avengers. And then just popping up on Instagram comments to justify why he wasn't in Endgame. Rocky's crashing out, man. And while we playfully joke about his need to always be the main character, just log off. Okay, back to Cena. Whenever a beloved good guy goes rogue, the roadmap is the same. Make a shocking move that gets people angry, cut a promo the following show explaining their actions, blame the fans for making them do this, yada, yada, yada. What makes Cena different is that he's not doing it in the same sort of cartoonish way that makes the fans feel good about booing him. He's saying it in a matter of fact, almost like he's in a couples therapy and he's unloading 20 years of grievances on his partner, aka the fans who loved him and the ones who loved to hate him. And he's making sense. It's been said that the best bad guys are the ones who have a justified, albeit flawed, point of view. Cena's right, and there's kinda no holes in that argument. Like, he correctly pointed out the fans' fickleness towards Cody Rhodes. Last year, Cody famously finished his story surpassing anything Cena had ever done in storyline. And against all odds, Cody maintained those cheers despite some questionable booking decisions. But over the course of this weekend, with the potential to see the number 17 in view, Cody was booed, cheered, booed, and booed some more. John's not telling lies, man, and he's doing it in a way that doesn't make him a cool bad guy to cheer for. There's no music to enjoy, no new gear to emulate, and no heel merch to buy. He's giving fans the same he's been giving his rogues gallery for the past 20 years. That's real heel stuff, man. And shout out to John for taking that creative risk. Here's the problem, though. It might be a little too smart, too meta, too clever, and it might actually be hurting WWE. There's speculation online that the match between Cena and Cody was intentionally booked to be bad to further Cena's role as a heel, and that Travis Scott's meandering 2-minute saunter to the ring was part of the plan. Again, sounds like a bold move in the writer's room, but in execution, it left the fans leaving the arena sour after a weekend that was already being viewed as mid in the hierarchy of WrestleManias. To use the MCU analogy again, if WrestleMania 40 is in-game, 41 is Phase 4, a hodgepodge of solid mixed material with absolute crap like Eternals. Yes, in this analogy, Randy Orton is the Fantastic Four because for all the hand-wringing and doom warnings, what makes WWE unique is that they can always fix whatever bad creative move they make by next week. So, while we acknowledge the complexity and the brilliance of the John Cena heel run so far, we would also understand if they changed course a little and it fell back to something a little more in line with your, let's say, typical bad guy run. As for the rest of WrestleMania, look, it was ultimately a good weekend in our books. But yes, it's hard to top last year and honestly even 39 in Los Angeles. That being said, the MVP of the weekend goes to the commentary team. In particular, Wade Barrett. Dude is an Englishman through and through. But when he said that Dominic Mysterio looked like he robbed Liberace after winning the Intercontinental Championship, the idea of a young Wade listening to California Love on a Sony Walkman in the 90s in the middle of it, let's see if I get this right. Penwortham, England? That's just gold to us. Two more things before we move to the hard pass. First, Travis Scott. His appearance could have been handled better, especially since The Rock wasn't going to show up. But props to him for taking Cody's finisher because, man, people do kind of look like dorks when they're being set up for that move. Second, while he did say no new theme song and gear and merch, Cena did rock the unreleased Bright Cactus Jordan Jumpman Jacques on Raw. For the remainder of this run, Travis needs to send him new, never-before-seen colorways to annoy wrestling fans who have no idea why the swoosh is reversed and sneakerheads who are going to be taking L's trying to buy them. It's time for this week's Hard Pass, where we take a look at something in the culture that just needs to go. Like wasting your time and your day to leave a shitty comment. Last year, Jason Tatum, he revived his long-dormant YouTube channel with the follow-up to the highly influential video, Tie a Tie, which is, as of this recording, 8.7 million views. Tie a Shoe, which dropped around a year ago, has 1.7 million views so far. Not bad for a sequel, JT, not bad. Well, last week we got part 3 or part 4. It depends on whether you consider J. Tatum movie part 1 or a prequel. Anyways, Tatum debuted episode 1, My Sneaker Collection. Looks like we're going to get more content on the channel, which, hey, more power to him. What better way to introduce JT to the YouTube world than by showing off his collection? I mean, I can think of one better way, like, say maybe invite a certain YouTuber to his house and letting them shoot said sneaker collection, but there's, that's neither here nor there. We'll save that for part 2. As you might imagine, from a Jordan Brand signature athlete, the sneakers were wall-to-wall and floor-to-floor J's with some Nikes thrown in there for good measure. Anything Jordan that's released from the past several years at retail is in there, along with player exclusives and super rare drops that nobody else got. Like, you have to figure JT made sure that particular room was going to be the first scene in the video because that's where his ultra-rare Air Jordan 4 PE designed by his tattoo artist Steve Levy were located, as well as his Jordan 14s inspired by his 1966 Ford Mustang. When he says, I got some shoes you probably can't get, I imagine PJ Tucker's sneaker senses start tingling like someone just challenged him to a fight. And then we get a peek into some wear test samples of the Jordan Tatum 2 and the mesh version of the Air Jordan 11 Cool Gray that were made just for him. Again, PJ probably has these sneakers on a vision board somewhere along with whatever he still needs from Carmelo Anthony and everybody else on the Jordan payroll. All in all, not a bad look at his collection. He could probably spend multiple episodes going through more pairs and the stories behind the ones that mean something special to him. Because he is a Jordan guy, he also gets his share of exclusives and GRs that are just there to occupy space in the closet. They're probably not getting the DJ Khaled still in the meeting hype cycle, but that's okay. Well, it would be if JT turned the comments off and the sneaker aggregator pages did the same. For some reason, these inside looks at athlete, celebrity, and influencer sneaker closets end up becoming rage bait for some folks. And it's the same thing every time. Oh, why are you wasting a post on that? Or, wow, a famous person showing off the free kicks they got. Who cares? Or, one of my personal favorites. It's not that special because they didn't actually work for it. Yeah. The multi-time All-Star Olympic gold medalist Jordan Brand athlete did not work for his sneaker collection. Those exclusives that were made for JT, yeah, that was him being lazy on the couch playing 2K. Like, why go through the trouble of showing the world you're a hater and you're not even gonna be funny about it? Like, at least make a joke or hate with the fury of 1,000 suns so much that it wraps back around to being funny. Just saying, who cares? Means you care, buddy. Next time, contribute something to the discussion. Don't just metaphorically lob a grenade like you're John Morant and hope you get a reaction. Even if you don't care for JT's collection, either keep it moving or maybe share who you think has a better collection or spotlight someone who might deserve a feature on these pages. Not to make this about myself, but my Sneaker Closet series featured regular folk along with celebrities and athletes. I wasn't coming from a place of annoyance or malice for the trolls. I want them to be better. So let's work on that, people. And if anybody in JT's camp is watching this, I'm down to help produce part 2 or 3. Just as long as, we don't talk about the NBA team he plays for. I'm just kidding. Maybe. All right, that's going to do it for the show. Thank you guys for watching Hard Pass. I am Jacques Slade. I'll see you next week, but not before we leave you with a viewer Hard Pass.
What's up, Hard Pass? Love the show. And I'm watching today's episode, which is AJ's got beef with sneakerheads, Rory's big win, and Jordan doesn't ... I forgot to leave a message last week. I've been so busy with work, but I always look forward to these shows. Keep up the good work. Love it and the information. Love the opinions and thoughts on everything, not just sneakers, but everything. So make sure you like and subscribe, listeners. This is a really dope show.
Now, if you would like to possibly be featured in a future episode, call us at 818-493-9325. Leave a short message, your socials if you want, no more than 30 seconds. All right, you know what? I'll see you next week. Peace.